Hello, my name is Leslie Garza. For many years now, there have been a large number of films, books, online tube, and many other aspects of expression regarding the Illuminati. What is the Illuminati? Who were its creators? How long has that group been around? Some people might not believe that there is or ever was a group in reality called the Illuminati. Today, you will witness hard, solid proof that there is not only a group called the Illuminati in a historic manner, but that they are actually still around. Let's begin a journey of discovery, not with a conspiracy theory of a secret society called the Illuminati, but let's go on a journey to discover the historical facts.
Sir, could you tell us your name?
My name is Mr. Imler.
Mr. Embler. And what do you do, sir?
I'm an archivist and I'm the director of the Wittelsbach House Archives Department of Bayerisches Hauptstaatsarchiv. That means I'm the supervisor for the archival documents which belong to the former royal house of Bavaria.
I see. That's a fascinating job.
Yes, it is.
Do you have all the documents that have to do with the House of Wittelsbach here, or are there any more archives? Or is this the main archive, or is it's the only archive for the document?
Well, all the documents concerning more or less private matters of the former royal house belong to this department, whereas documents concerning their official duties as dukes, duke electors, kings of Bavaria.
Could you tell me, who is Adam Weishaupt to you?
Adam Weishaupt is one of the most important personalities of the Enlightenment movement in Bavaria, and he is especially famous for founding the Illuminati order, which was a movement to introduce a republic, not only in Bavaria but in the whole of Germany, but as the activities of this order caused some unrest in the Bavarian public. It was detected by the ducal authorities and was suppressed.
I see. So basically, in your opinion, I should say historically, Adam Weishaupt lived during the aristocracy highlight of Bavaria, correct?
Bavaria still belonged to the Holy Roman Empire, so it was under the emperor's authority, a very loose authority, and Bavaria itself was ruled by a ruler who had the title of Kurfürst and Herzog, Duke Elector. That means as elector he was entitled to be one of the very small group of high aristocrats who were entitled to elect a new emperor.
I see. Well, that explains the kind of political aspect of what was going on. Really, basically, Rome was in charge. So, in your opinion, do you think that the Illuminati was started by Adam Weishaupt, or was it something that he just made more modern and made more known?
Well, it's known that Adam Weishaupt himself founded and started this order, but he was somewhat motivated by the success of the Freemasons, and he wanted to use the structures of the Freemasons' lodges to build his own Illuminati order atop of the Freemasons. So he wanted to use their structures for recruiting members for his own revolutionary order.
So, what is the Illuminati in small terms, according to Adam Weishaupt?
According to Adam Weishaupt, it was like the avant-garde of a revolutionary movement to introduce a new method of thinking, of materialist atheist thinking.
So, do you believe that Adam Weishaupt was an enemy to the church, quote unquote?
He was an enemy to the church, but even more, he was an enemy to the state, especially to the aristocratic foundations of the states which existed at that time.
In what manner was he an enemy to the aristocracy?
He wanted to abolish all privileges of the nobles, and in the end, he didn't make it very clear to all of the members of his order, but it's known from his own programmatic scriptures that in the end he wanted to introduce a republic.
A republic, I see. So if in fact he was an enemy to the aristocracy, why did he have, and did he in fact have, aristocracy as members?
Well, he didn't reveal the ultimate end of his political program to all the members of his order. This Illuminati order in itself was very hierarchically organized, and Adam Weishaupt thought it was useful to reveal his ultimate ends only to a small number of the members he recruited for his order. And therefore a lot of the aristocratic members who joined his order might not know what his ends ultimately were.
Fascinating information. So there were people in his order who had absolutely no idea what his real agenda was.
That it is.
In that case, then why would people of such notability and nobleness, why would they want to join something they have no idea what it entails?
Well, it was fashionable at that time. The Freemasons organized in the same manner. Only their aims were only much more limited. And the Freemasons used the same method of introducing members from step to step, that they could rise to higher grades of knowledge, of initiation into the secrets of that secret society. Secret societies at that time were very fashionable because people seem to be fascinated. There is something which into which we will be introduced, something esoteric, secret, and mysterious, yes.
Interesting. So really, at the time, Adam Weishaupt was very serious about his agenda, and maybe some of the members, but the rest of the aristocracy, the nobility, and the bourgeois were probably thinking, this is like the new thing. It would almost be like something modern day where it's a kind of a fad to some people.
Yes.
As we can see, the aristocracy played a major part in the creation of the Illuminati. Yet, there were members of the aristocracy whom also fought against the Illuminati to expose its deepest, darkest secrets. Are you ready for more? Are you ready to go deep? Deep inside the minds of two men. One, a professor and intellect. The other, a blue-collar self-made man who made a success as an actor and film director. Are you ready for their deep conversation that might shatter all your beliefs in the fact that the Illuminati is just conspiracy theory? Get ready to take an intellectual journey and a deep insight to more proof of the Illuminati's real existence.
Do you believe, being one of the most notable researchers on this matter in Germany, which is really where it started, do you believe that he was very serious about his agenda of taking over the world?
Theoretically, he wanted to extend his order all over the world. But practically, the circle of the members of the Illuminati order was restricted to Germany and mainly to Bavaria.
Why?
Well, it existed only for about 5 years, and then it was detected by state authority, and the Duke Elector was very upset.
Who was the Duke?
It was
Theodore?
Karl Theodor, yes, Duke Elector of Bavaria, and when his officials detected that there existed a secret society with a revolutionary agenda, they did everything they could, and they were very successful in doing it, to suppress this danger for the existing state order.
Fascinating. So, give us an idea. Obviously we wouldn't be able to go into every idea the Illuminati had. It was a giant structure. But what are the three main goals that Adam Weishaupt and his constituents, what were they? What were the three main goals of this secret society, the Illuminati?
It was to undermine the state from within by recruiting members of the state bureaucracy or courtiers to join them, though they could influence official policy to foster their aims. It was an aim which in itself was also the method.
Tell us a little bit about what happened to the documents with the horse. Tell us what happened that night. Tell us what happened that night.
After the Duke had detected that there existed a secret society in his country, he ordered his officials to do some research, and they detected that meetings of the Illuminati took place at a castle belonging to one of the members of the order named von Zwack. And when this had been detected, they went to this castle and seized any documents concerning these secret meetings of the Illuminati there. And the documents were taken to the Duke Elector himself, and he kept these documents in his desk, in his private desk. He was so much concerned about secret societies and the dangers they might be for his rule that he wanted to keep them himself. And after his death, these documents were taken to the Wittelsbach House archives, the private archives of the ruling dynasty. And they remained there until the 1930s. And in the 1930s, when Hitler already had come to power in Germany, another interesting development took place, because Heinrich Himmler, the Reichsführer SS, was very much interested about secret societies, conspiracies, and so on. And he wanted to know everything about what secret societies had done, how they might have influenced history, and he founded a special SS Research Institute for secret societies. And they ordered all documents concerning secret societies to be seized and to be taken to this research institute. All documents in state possession or in the possession of Masonic lodges, which were forbidden at that time. And the SS also wanted to have these documents, which were in the possession of the former royal family, at their archives. Archives, however, which were under the administration of this Bavarian state, but not state property. And this posed a little problem, because the royal family and their archivist claimed we cannot give them away, they are our property. But naturally it was quite difficult to maintain this position to the Nazi dictatorship. And in the end, a compromise was concluded. Some documents were handed over to this SS Research Institute. The other could remain in the Royal Archives.
What remained?
Unfortunately, nothing, because the documents which remained in the Royal Archives in the 1930s were lost in 1944.
Lost? The documents are lost?
Yes, they were lost because of American bombers.
So the American bombers are the reason why you feel that the documents from the Illuminati were lost?
Yes, that's true, because the archives were at the former royal residence in Munich, and the residence was bombed, and there was a big fire, and whatever had remained of the Illuminati documents in the possession of the Wittelsbach archives burnt in 1944. The other part, which was seized by the SS in the 1930s, was taken to Berlin, and there it disappeared too during the Second World War.
So all these documents that we came here to interview for are disappeared?
Yes, that's true. That's unfortunately true.
This is a shock.
It's a shock for us too, because a lot of researchers who knew about these documents before the 1930s and wrote something about them and made citations in their publications, and now it can't be proved. Researchers nowadays often come to us and ask for these documents, and again we have to say they don't exist any longer.
So the documents that the Wittelsbach had were allowed to keep from the SS, and then the SS took the other ones. Why
Yes.
wouldn't the SS take all of the Illuminati documents and leave them with just a few? And what do we understand to be the ones that they took and the ones they didn't take? Basically, there are 3 documents online that I've seen myself that were the original writings from Adam Weishaupt. 3 of them were the main documents. 2 of them were, I should say, one of them was translated into English. The other 2 were not. But the documents I saw were scanned with modern-day scanners.
Well, not all documents written by Adam Weishaupt were seized at this castle belonging to Mr. von Zwack when Duke Elector Karl Theodor forbid the Illuminati order. Weishaupt fled, and he took some documents with him. He fled to Gotha in the middle of Germany. Gotha was a tiny dukedom, and the Duke of Gotha supported Weishaupt, and he allowed him to stay there as a refugee. And those documents Weishaupt was able to take with him to Gotha. They remain. And the rest disappeared from Berlin when Berlin was occupied by Soviet forces in 1945.
Okay, Fritz Springmeier is a very famous within the Illuminati research crowd. He's written some of the most prolific books on the Illuminati in the United States. And he asked me if he could ask some questions, and I'm going to ask those questions because he's a friend of mine. He asked, could it be the documents were planted by the Illuminati to fool people into thinking what were in the documents that were seized were in there? Could that be?
I don't think so, because these documents, the Illuminati, when the Illuminati were suppressed, it happened very unexpectedly for them, especially for Weishaupt. That's the reason why he fled so suddenly and left a lot of documents. at his friend Zwack's castle.
So what were the other question Mr. Fritz Springmeier wanted to know was Weishaupt Illuminati or was he a Jesuit? Or was he both?
He couldn't be a Jesuit because the Jesuit order had already been abolished by the Pope at that time when Weishaupt founded the Illuminati order. And the Illuminati, or the Freemasons, because a lot of the Illuminati were Freemasons also, or had been Freemasons when they were recruited into the Illuminati order, hated the Jesuits.
The conversation has turned from an intellectual discovery to almost a battle of wits of these two men, one expressing his educated deduction of the so-called facts, and the other who seems to be grabbing on like a pit bull, not willing to let go until a cruder, more concise truth unfolds. Sit back and keep your best thinking caps on. It is time to listen to the devil in the details. Proof of the Illuminati continues.
Who were the council people they raided? Do you know any of the people that they raided other than Weishaupt?
Zwack, then Montgelas, who later became Prime Minister of Bavaria, and
after they raided him and found he was Illuminati, he became Prime Minister.
Under Karl Theodor's successor, who had a very different political agenda.
But it's fascinating that a member of the Illuminati who was found to be, who was raided, later on becomes a member of the ruling class of Bavaria, when in fact that in itself proves historically that the Illuminati did not die and they actually took places of power here.
Well, some individuals later became quite powerful.
People say, I mean, well, how is it that somebody who was on the run from the Duke was able to go to another state and be taken in as a refugee when, you know, the agenda of this person was considered to be criminal? Why was Adam Weishaupt allowed to continue to live in a wonderful life in Gotha and have such a fantastic, he was even offered money as a retirement, I hear.
Well, the Holy Roman Empire consisted of about 300 dukedoms, principalities, even principalities of prince-bishops, free cities and so on. And therefore, normally it wasn't very difficult for a refugee from one of these states to find any other state where the local ruler might have sympathy for him. Weishaupt revealed his ultimate aims only to a very small number of hierarchically outstanding members of his secret society.
And what were those? Do we know anything about what he revealed to them?
Well, his aim to introduce a new state order, ultimately a republic, to introduce a new philosophy based on rationalism, materialism, atheism, and to do so by undermining the existing order from within.
You said atheism.
At least in some of his writings, he confessed that he didn't believe in God, and that his philosophy was like the philosophy of some radical members of the French Enlightenment, materialistic.
What is your thoughts on the Illuminati, pro or con?
Well, it's quite difficult to say because around the Illuminati there's the same ambivalence as with the French Jacobins. On the one side, they are a part of, let's say, the ancestral line leading to modern democracy. But at the same time, they are also standing at the beginning of the development of modern totalitarianism. So it's like with the Jacobins, it's very difficult to say whether they are good or bad, because there is this ambivalence.
It's like one side of the mouth are saying, let's make a democracy, and the other side is, but it's going to be based on us being the rulers.
Yes.
Well, that's pretty intense, because when you think about it, yeah, it's like America. See, America seems like it is the Illuminati dream. Let's talk about the Wittelsbachs. The Wittelsbach has a little castle down here I saw in Munich. And one of the emblems was the Visconti, because I think they married into each other.
Yes.
Why is it that there's a serpent eating a child or a serpent exuding a child?
Well, that's the Visconti coat of arms.
But it seems strange to anyone that there would be a serpent swallowing a baby or giving birth to the baby. It's one of the two. Doesn't that seem strange to you?
Are you feeling a bit confused now? I know the first time I saw it, I thought to myself, this can't be real. Could men, women of the historical past really have been that cunning and use conspiratorial manipulation to keep a gigantic political, religious, and life-changing agenda away from their fellow peers, their own neighbors? Could it be that men were so diabolical that they would hide behind signs, passwords, and bonds against penalties of death, torture, and just about any other means to keep things hidden? Did the means justify the ends, or is the question really, does the end justify the means?
Hello everyone again. We are here at the State Archives in Munich, Germany. This is one of the few places in the world that you can find information about the historical Illuminati, the original Illuminati, which was started by Adam Weishaupt, supposedly, in Ingolstadt, Germany. However, there are many people who believe that the ideologies of the Illuminati started long, long before that, maybe even with Plato and the rest of the philosophers, or even before that. The real beginning of the ideologies of these people, we have to find some more research on, but we know that the modern day Illuminati, the historical Illuminati that we know of, that we can touch and feel and smell, started here, just outside of Munich in Ingolstadt, by Adam Weishaupt. Dr. Imler is a researcher and also an archivist. And he knows more about this subject than most people do, as I presume. And we spoke the other day, Doctor, and you shared with me a lot about the information, the generic information about what happened to the Illuminati, what happened to the documents that Adam Weishaupt wrote. And we went from, as we said before, we went from the Munich documents that were with the royal family, and then they went to Berlin, and then they went to Moscow, and then they came back, and they went to Sweden, and then they went back to Gotha, and so on. And a lot of the documents are supposedly missing. So, Dr. Imler was kind enough to allow us and the crew to go do some research in the very archives here of documents. A lot of them have never been seen. And I can say for sure, as the doctor will, that these documents have never been put on film. Today you will see for the first time in history the original documents, some of the Illuminati writings, and some of the documents of prosecution towards the Illuminati by Karl Theodor, the Dutch, I should say the Duke Elector. So please, tell us what you have found here since we've seen you last.
Well, I did some more research about the fate of the Illuminati documents, which were seized by Bavarian state authorities after Duke Elector Karl Theodor had got to know that there exists a secret society in his country. These documents were seized, and as you already said, they were put into the royal family archives, where they remained until 1934. And at that time, when the Nazis were already ruling Germany, a new development took place as Heinrich Himmler, the Reichsführer SS, who was very much interested in conspiracy theories and secret societies, tried to seize these documents for an SS research institute. And he sent the Gestapo to get them. But the royal archivists said, I cannot give them to you because they are private property of the former royal family. And in the end, as the Nazis insisted in their aims, a compromise was concluded. Some documents were handed over to the Gestapo, other documents remained in the royal archives. The last documents which remained, unfortunately, are now definitely lost, because the royal archives were bombed in 1944 during the Second World War, and these documents were burnt. The documents which were given to Berlin in 1945 were seized by the Red Army and taken to Moscow. And it seems possible that some of these are still at Moscow, others were later returned to the communist East German government and might have disappeared. But it's not very sure, because from the beginning there was a second complex of documents, which were later called the Swedish documents.
The Swedish Illuminati documents?
No, they were German documents, either from Weishaupt or from Bode, one of the leading Illuminati. And these documents, after the discovery of the Illuminati network in Bavaria, when Weishaupt himself fled, were taken to Gotha, where the ruling Duke of Gotha was a sympathizer. And after the death of that Duke, they were taken to Sweden.
Doctor, today we are going to film for the first time in history the Illuminati taken on by Karl Theodor, the elector at the time of Bavaria.
And an elector which the American public might not understand was a prince or a duke, a high-ranking ruler within the Holy Roman Empire, who had the special privilege to take a part in the election of the emperor, because the emperor of Germany wasn't hereditary, he was elected.
And who was that at the time?
At that time there were 8 electors, 3 archbishops, and 5 secular rulers.
But who was the emperor that they elected?
The emperor was Joseph II from the House of the Habsburgs.
So really, basically, it is royal family elected. Now, today, we are going to share with you a document that has never been filmed before. It is from the year
1785.
1785, and I'm going to be very careful with this document as I lift it up for the first time ever being presented to the world. The document, for any of those people out there who think it's a conspiracy theory, you better check your research, because it is a historical document here with Dr. Himmler in the State Archive, written by the Duke Elector, Karl Theodor, to the Illuminati of the time, Adam Weishaupt, otherwise known as Spartacus. We go into the other names later. Karl Theodor wrote this edict and this law against the Illuminati, and I can tell you after my few days of research here, this was a very serious problem according to the powers to be at the time. I'm going to go ahead and have Dr. Himmler read this document for the first time ever in history, other than when it was taking place. Please read that for us, sir.
Please hand it over. It reads, We greet you and declare to you our electoral grace.
Okay?
So it's an introduction.
Okay.
Uns kann nicht anders als sehr missfällig und empfindlich fallen, da wir vernehmen, wie wenig unser bereits unter dem 22. Juni Here the elector says that he disliked very much to hear about that a former prohibition of all Freemasons and Illuminati lodges has not been executed, and now he again decrees that all secret meetings, the recruitment of new members, and all collections of money for such secret societies must stop.
This is one of the many, and I have gone through probably, I would say, minimal of 2,000 documents. This is one of many documents that was put out to the public to extinguish the Illuminati that was supposedly extinguished that night when the monk who had Spartacus out of Weishaupt's documents was killed on the horse, and the Bavarian police brought these documents in. But as I could see, and as Dr. Himmler has read to you, this was not the case. It was not extinguished. Karl Theodor knew what he was talking about when he said, I'm afraid that this has not only continued the Illuminati, but it has flourished. There was one document that I read, and we can read it later verbatim, but it says in there that Karl Theodor was so afraid that he thought of the Illuminati as the plague. And he used that word, the plague. He also said that he would take a sword to anyone. Now back then, that's like saying, I'm going to assassinate you. Or in this case, I guess it would be a punishment, not an assassination. To anyone who joined the Illuminati, or anyone who continued to support the Illuminati. But he also said, Karl Theodor, in his documents, that this not only was continuing, but it was like wildfire, and it spread throughout Europe and the rest of the world. Now, we can go back right now and show, for the first time ever, Dr. Himmler is going to show you and open up the documents. The first time in the world this has been filmed. The actual signatures and the actual list of the members of the Illuminati at the time they were prosecuted in Germany. We're going to show that on film right now. Let's take a look at the documents that prove, to anyone out there that doesn't believe the Illuminati existed, we will disprove that now. And later I will discuss something where I can prove that they continued, as Karl Theodor, the elector at the time in Germany, expressed vehemently against the Illuminati. While we are opening these documents, I would like to say also that there is a book we're going to share in just a moment, after we're done showing you for the first time the list of the actual members of the Bavarian Illuminati at the time. We will also share with you a book that was written by the Illuminati. This is an actual 1784, I believe, document, correct? Or somewhere near there. The document that proves that there was an actual list and members, and he's going to name their names. For the first time, you're going to hear names of Illuminati members. And this is the real document, folks. Go ahead, sir. List.
Well, the list begins with a name who had the nom de guerre Aeneas, and his real name was Franz Borgias Freiherr von Lerchenfeld auf Kiesbach.
Von Lerchenfeld.
And he was a knight of the Teutonic Order. The second name is Seraskier, and his real name was also Baron von Lerchenfeld, only his first name was Hermann, and he was the Chamberlain of the silver at the royal court, the elector's court. Then there was Antidote, also Baron Xavier von Lerchenfeld, and he was a Hofrat, the member of the Judicial Council. The fourth name, Gouverneur, Freiherr von Flaxland. The fifth name, Pontifex, Casimir von Heffelin. Then there was Pastor Bonus, and he was the church rector of the Munich Church of St. Mary. Another name, Saturnus. It was a man named von Eisele, and he was ceremoniarius at the elector's chapel. Then Numa Pompilius, Graf von Lodron, Revisionsrat, one of the judges of the Bavarian Supreme Court. Augustus, Graf von Lerchenfeld, Graf von Königsfeld. Dann Brutus, zugleich Archivar, so he was the archivist of the Illuminati. Count Savioli, also a member of the Judicial Council. Ulysses, Graf Seefeld, Senior, französischer Altmeister.
Okay, so we're going to just stop there for a moment because the list goes on and on and on. And these are some of the most powerful people here at the time.
It seems as though we have had a real awakening of our minds at this point. I feel now that some deep, hidden symbols, ideologies, and foundations of the most powerful country in the world have been uncovered to me. I'm excited, yet fearful that if what we are hearing and seeing with our own eyes and ears is not something that could very well be shaping our very lives as we know them.
There was a man who was underneath the Duke Elector, Karl Theodore. His name was Baron Mongela.
He was the son of a man who had come from France during the time of Karl Theodore's predecessor, and he himself became an official at the royal court, and he joined the Illuminati order. But when the Illuminati were detected, he left Bavaria and went to the court of a younger branch of the Wittelsbach family, the Dukes of Zweibrücken.
And where's that at?
Zweibrücken is west of the Rhine, near to France, and the Dukes of Zweibrücken always had a very intimate relationship with France.
Now you say he left, but wasn't he exiled for being found and prosecuted to be in the Illuminati?
No, he wasn't prosecuted, but his career did not advance because it had been detected that he had been a member of the Illuminati, and therefore he left to that court of the younger branch of the Wittelsbach family, where he later became the prime minister. And when the Duke inherited Bavaria, as Karl Theodor had no son, he returned to Bavaria and became Bavaria's prime minister.
So, with that being said, let's kind of give a layman's term about what Dr. Imler just said there. Karl Theodor, the arch enemy of the Illuminati at the time, and I can prove that by hundreds of documents I witnessed myself here with a translator. Karl Theodor would not only spoke out against the Illuminati, he said he would put the sword to them. Somebody who was underneath him, the Baron, Mongela, left, according to Dr. Imler, went to the west. And after Karl Theodor died, and believe me, his whole entire political life was coming against the Illuminati. I can show you document after document after document where he said, I fear that this is like the plague. He had so much fear that he had everybody sign swearing against membership in the Illuminati. So when he died, one of the people that he swore against, to put the sword against, if they joined again, returned to Bavaria to become the prime minister. Now, if that's not enough for you to understand that the Illuminati did not discontinue, and if they did, they didn't discontinue their ideologies. They might have stopped because they had to, because they were afraid to be put against the sword, but we all know they continued because this list proves it. Because if you can continue, which we will later, we will show you an entire list. You know, I would like to say, Dr. Imler, that it's fascinating that you just got done reading just the first few lines of the names of the original Illuminati, and that half the members were members of the church.
Well, there were members of the church among the Illuminati, as well as at that time there were members of the church hierarchy who were Freemasons. You need to know that at that time the papal ban against membership in Freemasons lodges did not yet exist. And to become a member of the Freemasons lodges at that time was something very fashionable. People often wanted to join them because it was something interesting, something a little bit mysterious, and Weishaupt used that because he tried to organize his Illuminati order on top of Freemasons lodges and tried to use Freemasons lodges as recruiting grounds for his own
Which
order.
he did. Now, you mentioned also,
Lerchenfeld.
is that not the forefathers to the Baroness?
Basically come from the same medieval ancestor.
Right. Could it mean that they continued on afterwards in secret? Could it be?
Well, as far as we know, the Illuminati as an organization really were extinguished by Karl Theodor.
But he himself said that's not true.
Well, he always had this suspicion that in secret they still existed.
Indeed, they still exist. And as Karl Theodor's suspicion was, Svak, who continued on with Weishaupt, not only continued the Illuminati's ideology, but also implemented all their ideals in the government. As we all know historically, Mongela came back and became the prime minister. In the middle of Bavaria, you will see an aluminum statue of this man, the man who continued the Illuminati ideas. We can now prove historically.
I mean, you can just go anywhere in Bavaria and see Illuminati symbolism everywhere. I have had to endure the modern day Illuminati. I was thrown in their prisons, the modern day Illuminati. I was falsely imprisoned, falsely accused by the modern day Illuminati. And they actually, still to this day, do things like send false murder charges against people to control them. I've been there. I've seen it, folks. It's real. I've endured it. They run it. It's real.
And we have their Illuminati symbols, as you see to the far right. And this is hundreds of years later. Look at the symbolism on the left. That is the Frau Union of the CSU in Munich, Bavaria. And these people are all ancestors of the people that Dr. Embler and I were speaking about. And what you see there is something we see in the United States often, the all-seeing eye, the continuation of Adam Weishaupt, which was predated with the Egyptians and the Atlanteans according to the ancient manuscripts, And we see now the symbol that is used in the modern-day Illuminati, Lady Gaga and the rest of the Illuminati slummers. We see that they're doing the same exact symbol as they are in the CSU. This is not something that was stamped out by Carl Theodor. On the contrary, it's something that continues, as you see here with Angela Merkel, the continuation of the ideologies of the Illuminati, Lady Gaga, the rest of the Hollywood puppets of the Illuminati, as we can see here, are simply a continuation. It's historically proven now, as you will see in the next segment. You will see that this Illuminati symbolism and Illuminati history continues on a daily basis, getting stronger and stronger and stronger until it will stamp out every part of the elegance of Christianity.
The morals of Christianity.
Christianity, according to the Illuminati, will be stamped out. If this is what people want, they will get it. Continue on. Keep idolizing Hollywood, its participants, when they laugh at you, if you're a Christian. And if you're not a Christian, but you believe in the tenets of actual respect for life, respect for dignity, you will see them laughing at you. They will even say they want to be remembered as people who brought the end to Christianity. That's the exact tenets of the Illuminati, Adam Weishaupt and his partners inside the Bavarian Illuminati. The Bavarian Illuminati, my friends, has its dream awakened in the United States and throughout the world. The symbols are the same. The ideas are the same. The people and their ways are the same. This is an Illuminati dream come true. And until you wake up and realize that it's not coming, it's already been here. And it's been here for a long time. I dare say that the United States of America is a continuation of Adam Weishaupt's so-called republic, his so-called, quote, liberal society is here. And it's not going anywhere, folks. It's not going anywhere. It's here to stay.
Looks like some hidden history has been uncovered at this point. I don't know about you, but I'm getting that strange suspicion that we have been lied to, or at least things have been kept from our ears, eyes, and senses. Something so secret, something so diabolical that people would risk their very own lives to keep esoteric knowledge from their fellow man? Why? Why would they not want to share with everyone this enlightenment movement, unless that light was the light that we all fear the most? A Luciferian light, a false light, and a light that blinds us all.